Hi, Isabel Litzler. So today's video is about bureaucracy in Switzerland. This is something that can get quite confusing. There's a lot of different cantons in Switzerland. So based on where you're going to settle, things can be a bit different in terms of processes. So again, I'm not going to give processes for every canton because that's available online, and it's also based on where you want to live. But just know that depending on where you're settling, the process might be a bit different. But what I want to give you today is the main notion of the bureaucratic items that you need, documents that you need, and to understand a little bit the Swiss context, basically. So the first thing that people get confused about, the first item I see a lot of confusion about in my messages or in my comments on my videos, is the difference between a visa and a work permit. A lot of people confuse the two and they call that a visa to work or work visa. There's no such thing in Switzerland as a work visa. A visa basically lets you travel inside the country, and this is something that you will get via your consulate or your embassy. You have the right to come and travel in Switzerland, but that's completely different from working in Switzerland. And there you need a work permit. So you're welcome to travel with a visa, but again, very separate. It doesn't give you the right to work. If you want to work in Switzerland, you do need a work permit, and the way to get a work permit is to get a job offer. So that's where it starts. So there's no need for you to get really into the how do I get a work permit or where do I need to file, etc. It's worthless because until you have this job offer in your hand, there's nothing you can do basically. So your first worry should be really about getting this job offer. And again, as I said in many videos before, you can't really get a job offer if you're outside of the EU right now. It's just extremely complicated. Now, complicated doesn't mean impossible. There's always the lucky ones, I guess, or people who can, have a strike of luck. I just saw someone who said that he had a job offer via Twitter, I believe. So things can happen, but again, I'm trying to give the general context. I don't want to make people believe that they can get a job easily if they're from outside of EU. This is not the reality. So again, don't confuse visa with work permit, two different things. So the first bureaucratic document that will help your life in Switzerland is the work permit for sure. So you need to get a job offer. Then you have residency permits. So those permits let you stay in Switzerland. So let's say you have an apartment you're renting and you're not really working in Switzerland, or maybe you come as a partner with someone and you're outside of EU, and you will probably be granted a residency permit, but it doesn't let you work. So again, you're back to square one. You do need this work permit. So three different things. Visa lets you travel. Residency permit lets you stay in Switzerland. You can live there basically. And work permit lets you work. So those three things are not to be mixed, and they have very different functions. So that's the first thing. The second thing, or the second document that you need, is the health insurance card. So this is something that shows that you're covered for health insurance. In Switzerland, health insurance is private, so there's no state covered or country covered type of insurance. You need to pay for private insurance. So this is usually also linked to whatever you're doing in Switzerland. If you're traveling, if you're staying, or if you're working, there's many different providers. But again, people need to be aware that there's no such thing as a national health coverage. You need to pay for your own health insurance. A little bit like the USA. I think now with the USA, they also have a medical insurance, but it used to be like that in the past, where you had only private insurance. The third thing is the social security card. So this is usually something that you get once you start working. They will issue you a number, and this is something that you will need to provide each time that you go to the different offices. You will need to provide this social security number. So that's something that you will need to also get when you come to Switzerland. And it's also linked to your retirement. You will need a new driver's license when you come to Switzerland because it's not part of the EU. So if you're working and you're going to stay in Switzerland, you will need to take your driver's license again and to have a Swiss driver's license. So again, this is something to be aware of. You can't just drive with your own driver's license. The next one is a criminal record extract. So if you plan on staying in Switzerland for many things, including for renting an apartment, I believe you do need this criminal record. They do ask for a lot of personal things in Switzerland, so criminal record. Sometimes they almost have, I remember they would ask me for a some type of a certificate that you don't have anything filed against you for pursuits and things like that. So they do ask for a lot of documents that are a little bit maybe more than other countries, where you have to be prepared basically to provide all this information. So it's a country where the notion of how many things you want to keep private. Again, I'm linking this a little bit to the USA, because I know if you're looking for a job in the USA, for example, they will also do what they call background check, where they will check, where you worked, if you had any drugs issues and prison and all that. So it's the same thing in Switzerland. Basically, you can line that up with Switzerland, where they will do a lot also of checking and asking for kinds of background information, especially if you're going to ask for a permit, or especially if you're going to even start a business there. They do ask also for those things if you're a foreigner. So just be prepared for that if you want to come and live in Switzerland, about this bureaucratic process and the fact that you will need to show a lot of things. So it's a process basically. So again, this is it for today. If you have questions, feel free to post below. Thanks.